Hey everyone, Tyber Long here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the Firewatch Firewatch Paradox: Freedom's Illusion. This is apparently supposed to be an analysis of the game Firewatch. I don't know exactly what we're in for, but it sounded interesting. The title already has me, so I want to see what this is.
Have you ever experienced the paradox where the harder you pursued something, the more unattainable it became? This is a video about the game Firewatch. But first, let me tell you a quick story. In Greek mythology, there was once a man named Tantalus, who was a powerful king that ruled over mortal men and was deeply favored by the gods of Olympus.
Okay.
He was so liked by the gods that he was allowed to dine with them, and he enjoyed hearing their divine secrets and stories. But over time, Tantalus's hubris and curiosity grew, and in a fateful act of deception, King Tantalus killed his own son and served him as a meal to the gods, testing their infinite wisdom. But you see, the gods were not fooled, and for his crimes, King Tantalus was condemned to eternal punishment. He was placed in a shallow lake underneath the arms of a fruit tree for all eternity. But when he became hungry and reached up for the fruit, the tree branch would pull away, and the fruit would lay just beyond his reach no matter how hard he tried.
Oh, man.
And when he became thirsty, he would bend down to drink the water, but it would recede away, and he would never quench his thirst.
Oh.
Tantalus' name is the origin of the word tantalize, and is a reminder of the cruel paradox of trying harder for something only for it to escape further, just out of reach. In this essay, I'll analyze how this paradox presents itself in the game Firewatch, and for the purpose of this video, I'll refer to this conundrum as the Firewatch paradox.
Huh. The Firewatch Paradox.
In the game, our protagonist, Henry, pursues freedom and an escape, but like Tantalus, finds it just outside of his reach despite how hard he tries. We'll look closely at how Firewatch masterfully illustrates this, turning the wilderness in all its openness and beauty into a prison that forces our protagonist to ultimately confront his deepest troubles.
Interesting.
Since its release, now more than 8 years ago, Firewatch has continued to be a centerpiece of narrative gaming in the so-called walking simulator genre. It's likely at this point that you've already played it, and hopefully you found it just as emotionally moving as I did.
Yeah.
On its surface, the game showcases a simplistic yet elegant art style that portrays the Wyoming wilderness beautifully. It also includes exceptional voice acting, and together they make the game an absolute pleasure to experience, even if it were nothing more than a serene hiking and map reading simulator. But at its core, this game explores a number of delicate themes involving connection, isolation, guilt, and escapism. All things that we experience in our own lives at one point or another. Now, I must say, if you haven't played Firewatch yet, and you're considering playing it, I highly recommend experiencing it for yourself before watching the rest of this video, because it does contain spoilers.
What does she have?
She's got Alzheimer's, like, dementia.
Whoa. How old was she?
Is she? She's alive. She's with her family in Melbourne, Australia. She's 43.
In this story, we follow Henry, a man who takes on the role of a firewatch in the remote Shoshone wilderness of Wyoming. He does this because his life has been dissolved away from what he once knew due to the rapid progression of his wife Julia's early onset dementia. The role he plays now as a husband has become unrecognizable to him, twisted by circumstances well outside of his control. And in an attempt to escape the unbearable weight of this reality, he retreats into the wilderness.
Right. God, I remember how
Into Henry's shoes,
beautiful it
the
is.
forest seems to promise him endless freedom and self-discovery. He's in a place where he can ostensibly just be, stripped of the emotional weight he's been carrying. Surrounded by
Right.
vast landscapes and rugged trails that initially seem to stretch beyond view, Henry sees this openness as a chance to escape the burdens of his past. But as he traverses the Shoshone, his problems begin to surface in new ways. The wilderness, rather than offering liberation, gradually transforms into confinement of its own. As Henry ventures deeper into the forest, he encounters obstacles that limit his exploration. Rock slides, dead ends, and looming fires narrow his exploration to just a few well-beaten paths that
Ew, not the
fires narrow his
not the banging on the goddamn chain link fence.
exploration. Rock slides, dead ends, and looming fires narrow his exploration to just a few well-beaten paths that
It's amazing.
quickly memorize.
Yeah.
In a way, each of these physical barriers reflects the unresolved emotions he carries with him, suggesting that no matter where he runs, he cannot escape the mental confinement of his guilt and grief. Just as he's physically prevented from exploring the wilderness on his own terms, he's also unable to escape the painful memories and choices that haunt him. And much like Tantalus, who reached for relief in vain, Henry finds himself constantly circling back to the same emotional struggles he sought to originally escape.
Well, in the meantime, you are here, and it's beautiful, and escaping isn't always something bad.
Yeah, sure.
I can't help but appreciate the irony in this setting. While the wilderness is classically romanticized as a place of freedom and adventure, for Henry it becomes a kind of surrender. Take, for example, the very act of hiking itself. It's an innately prospective activity, driven by the wonder of what lays around the next bend. But our wanderlust is always mixed with Henry's retrospective thoughts, as demonstrated by his conversations that often return to the topic of Julia and his choices. Rather than facing Julia's illness, he's run away from it, telling himself that he's, quote, getting a fresh start. But this fresh start is really just an attempt to avoid the immense pain of witnessing Julia's decline, and by leaving, he may have distanced himself physically from her illness, but he's still mentally deeply entangled in the guilt and grief that he's trying to leave behind.
Okay.
Perhaps
Yeah.
one of the most tangible examples.
I never noticed that dichotomy before. So he's legitimately out here to try to escape, and instead it becomes a trap. But not necessarily like a physical trap. It just becomes a place where he gets trapped with his own thoughts. Because, and I don't even know if he's trapped with his own thoughts because of the wilderness necessarily, or because of like the blockages that would happen in roads. It wasn't that. It was that his job is to be a goddamn fire watcher. What else is he supposed to do other than to think, right? I mean, he spends all of his time in his head. And he actually thought it would be the opposite. He thought that coming out here, he would have, you know, if you're trying to escape from your own thoughts, it's good to stimulate your brain. And the part of that I think he got wrong, and most people get wrong, is escaping to your happy place, or escaping to a place where you're relaxed, means that you'll probably be able to think clearer. And the clear thoughts aren't the same as easy to process thoughts. You may be thinking clear as day about something that is terrible, something that hurts you deep inside. And so I'm gonna run with this paradox, but I think no matter what he did, like in this scenario, it no matter if it was like the environment changing, the paths being blocked off, no matter how much the nature changed around him, he would have been trapped in his thoughts anyways, because the nature of this job is to basically, how would I say this? Observe. That is your job. You observe. And when you're not observing, what do? You observe yourself. You observe things near you. You observe. Yeah, he had pictures on his table near, like in his station, near his bed and near the I think it was the kitchen sink. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but yeah, he had too much time on his hands, and he was left alone with his thoughts often. So.
Of Henry's new entrapment is the Firewatch Tower itself. Initially, it appears as a sanctuary, a refuge high above the chaos he left behind. The tower's height gives him a sweeping view and a sense of control that comes from observing the world. But it's also his new captivity. The tower...
That is almost what I said, but you articulated it so much better. Yes.
Return the new salted caramel butterfingers.
Is a place designed for... It's also his new captivity. The tower is a place designed for watching, but never for engaging. Its literal purpose is to observe remotely and report one of nature's most destructive and unrelenting processes: wildfires. Processes not unlike the uncontrolled destruction of Julia's frontal and temporal lobes. It's almost as if Henry is placed there to observe his own life from a distance, unable to control it.
Oh, I like that.
Meant for shelter ultimately reveals itself as a kind of emotional prison where Henry is kept away from his past, but also any real path forward. In each quiet moment...
Oh, I never read those. Oh, I saw those all the time and I never read them. Oh, I missed lore. I forgot about the typewriter. I'm sure I was typing stuff all the time.
Moment in the tower, he's stripped of the distractions of daily life, forcing him to ruminate in front of his typewriter on the choices he's made. Now,
You put it so much better than I did.
It's Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
So, what's wrong with you?
Excuse me?
People take this job to get away from something. So, what's wrong?
in Firewatch, Henry's one source of human contact is Delilah, or rather, her voice, transmitted over handheld two-way radio. Her voice is his lifeline, the only voice he hears in the silence of the forest, and yet even this connection is tempered and imprisoning. It's a relationship built on personal stories and playful banter, but devoid of any concrete presence or tangible reality.
You and I have a thing. This is real, okay? You and I really happened. And I know you didn't just take this job because you thought it'd be fun. I know whatever is going on at home is intense. But please, don't spin off into outer space. Something is happening, and it's happening to both of us, okay?
Okay.
Their conversations are often intimate, with both of them sharing pieces of themselves they might not reveal to others. But while Delilah offers him a form of companionship and fleeting escape from his inner turmoil, there's always a distance between them. A physical separation that's so obvious as we stare across the forest at her tower, never even glimpsing her silhouette. In a way, they're both confined, keeping themselves from truly connecting. And their radios, in the end, become tools of further isolation rather than of real connection.
I wish I was over there.
I wish you were too.
We could sit outside. We could talk without these radios. We could,
But there's a certain safety in this distance. They can both open up without ever fully committing, without the vulnerability that comes with being physically present. This disembodied connection is akin to Henry's emotional avoidance. He's engaging with someone, yet he's still essentially alone. This type of relationship is incomplete, and it parallels his incomplete escape from Julia. And Delilah, for that matter,
That's a good point.
content to keep their relationship at arm's length, as demonstrated by her abandonment of Henry in the final scenes, leaving him with a sense of betrayal as he realizes he's really been alone this entire time. Stylistically, I love that the developers never give us the satisfaction of meeting Delilah. Despite all of the negative reviews this decision has garnered on Steam.
Oh, fuck that. I think it's great storytelling that we never got to see even her silhouette. If we had seen her silhouette being able to stare up at her tower and then never met her, okay. That I could see that, because it seems like they're kind of leading up to trying to show you something. But the fact that she was at every point in the game a disembodied voice talking to you through the radio, and you get to know about her. You get to grow attached to her in some ways, but like you never see her. You never see a trace of her until the end. And you get to talk about like the future going forward. Talking about Julia and like what should he do? Should he try to get Delilah to come with him to wherever he lives? Blah, 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 blah. But it's all disembodied. And it's all very introspective. And I don't think it would have had the same effect. Nowhere near the same effect if we got to see her at the end and it turns into this happy ever after. Oh my God, me and Delilah got together and we're just together forever. Like, I don't think it would have had the same effect. So I am glad they didn't do it that way, because it kind of left you know how it feels when you finish a good show and you are on the last episode, and then it's not necessarily like a good or a bad ending, or it could be a good or a bad ending, but it's just like, just that moment that happens when it goes whoosh, and then the final credits roll out, and you kind of sit there like, oh my God. And you just kind of sit there and you're trying to run through all the information that you absorbed over the course of, I don't know, 3 seasons of a show, 7 seasons of a show. If you watch The Walking Dead, I've seen the entire Walking Dead franchise outside of Dead City, okay? And Daryl Dixon, okay? It's a long show. That is where I wound up at the end of season 11 for The Walking Dead, where like it ended and I sat there going, it's over? And I just kind of had to sit there for a second and process everything that happened in all 11 seasons. That's the effect it had on me. And if it had been a perfect ending, because The Walking Dead does not have a perfect ending in any part of the show. There's always loose ends thrown up in the air. There's always something that's not perfectly tied together. If it was like a Disney perfect ending in this game, it couldn't have affected me the same way at all. I wouldn't have sat there for the minute after and just listened to the music and gone, man, that was really good. Like it couldn't have done any of that. It would have just been like, okay, happy ending. Bye everyone. And I just get up and I sign off and I say, Kagebushi signing off. Peace. And I just leave, right? And I don't have another thought about it. There is no deeper level. It's just it turns from an introspective story about trying to figure out how to move on to, oh, a love story. Happy ending. Completely changes the tone. And it's incredibly powerful that they chose not to show Delilah. And I know I'm rambling. That's my job. But stick with me, okay?
Realistically, I love that the developers never give us the satisfaction of meeting Delilah. Despite all of the negative reviews this decision has garnered on Steam, I find it poetic.
Yes.
As it forces Henry to question the entire meaning of his escape to the Shoshone.
Hello? Is anybody there?
Hi. Yeah, it's me.
You're not here.
No. Don't be mad.
I am.
Well, I couldn't be out there another minute.
Not another minute. Come on.
Henry, how did you feel when you left Boulder to come out here?
Like I couldn't get here fast enough.
Exactly. That's how I felt for the past 24 hours.
Well, I'm still mad.
Expenses, the onboarding, the benefits, the time off requests, fixing payroll. It has to stop.
A cry for help.
In the fiery conclusion, as Henry runs...
Now, that's not the interaction I wound up getting. So that's interesting that whoever was playing this game in that setting got that one.
Inferno, narrowly escaping the raging firestorm, he seems to gain a true perspective on his life and his choices. Like Tantalus, who reached endlessly for water and fruit that would never be his, Henry chased the idea of freedom in the wilderness, only to find it remaining just out of reach. Through his journey, he realizes that his retreat to the outdoors had been a tantalizing illusion, promising solace while ultimately amplifying his inner turmoil. True freedom for Henry came not from the forest's allure or the escape he sought, but from within, through an acceptance of the limitations he faced and the responsibilities he had tried to outrun. The wilderness, much like Tantalus' torture, didn't offer him an escape from his problems. Instead, it served as a mirror, reflecting the truths he had long avoided. And facing them head on, Henry finally understands that peace is not in reaching for the unreachable, but in embracing the present and our place within it.
Yeah.
If you made it this far, thank you for your time.
Of course. Now, I'm assuming he's about to go on the spiel of subscribe to my channel and all that stuff. And I'm just, I'm going to echo that. If you are not following Luca, please do. This was an amazingly produced video. And I am just here to kind of gather people's ideas before I create my own review of the game, because I have played the game already before seeing this video. And so it's just interesting to see what people have made. And a lot of these videos are actually on the old side. But I mean, this one's pretty new, 7 months ago. That's pretty recent. So I want to read more of these comments. This essay is professional and personal at the same time. Firewatch is one of those games that you just have to experience to understand, and you explained it perfectly. I agree. People are talking about smaller channels being recommended. I actually really can appreciate that too. I've never heard the dialogue where Henry doesn't know Delilah isn't waiting for him to tell her. Really adds another layer to hear that. It does, because I didn't have that dialogue. I did not have that dialogue. I'm not going to say what dialogue I had, but it wasn't that. So it's interesting. I've come to realize the ending of this game is why it sticks with me. A clean happily ever after wouldn't fit the tone at all. Precisely. It'd almost feel out of place. The frustration you feel at the end actually pulls you deeper into the experience, making you feel like you've been through the same ups and downs as Henry. It's like you're left with the same weight he's been carrying, and that unresolved feeling keeps the story alive in a way a perfect ending never could. This is absolutely true. The story would be completely weird and completely off if it had turned into a romance. Oh, he found new love after his old love like failed miserably. Like, it becomes less introspective and more about the end goal. It becomes, quote unquote, more about where you're going and less about the journey itself. And so I think there is a certain power in that, and I really appreciate that. So, God, that's good. This is a good video about this game. If you're not following Luca, please drop a sub, and I'm going to call it here. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you return to my channel sometime soon for other videos and other streams I'm going to be doing. And until next time, peace out. Chikagebushi, signing off. Bye now.